Thank you very much. And I now to introduce the next president of the Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Joseph Imamoga.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sien, and a pleasant welcome to our program here at Focus on Liberia, where we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. This is an evening edition of the Hour of Politics, by the way, and you know I'm always your host here. We are here to talk about the Unity Party's 2023 campaign launch today. Many people are talking about it, and I have two bright minds here, and I will be in the middle as we try to dissect, analyze, and try to read into all that we saw today with the Unity Party's campaign launch. I have my own description of what I saw, but I will hold my peace and let these two bright minds to weigh in. And my job here is to help them, make sense of what we saw that went down today with the launch of the Unity Party. My name is Anthony Sien. This is Focus on Liberia. If you are just joining us, we will ask you to do us a favor by sharing the broadcast. Seated and ready to go in this discussion, which is an analysis, by the way, is Mr. J. Blamo, a progressive. It's good to have you. Unmute yourself, brother. How you doing? Unmute yourself, please.
My name is Ja Blamo.
Okay.
I'm the president of the Grand Crew Association and chairman of the Athena International. I have a long political career in writing, a former assistant secretary general of PAR, Backward Mafia Party in Buchanan. I was a former executive director of OLM, the Liberian Association in Minnesota, and I have a background in politics, history, sociology, and I've been following this race very closely, like most Liberians.
It's good to have you, Mr. Jab Bambo. Seated also and ready to go is a known, unrelenting supporter of Mr. Joseph Yumabwaka, my very good friend, Aliu Kamara. It's good to have you, brother. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
All right, folks in cyberspace, if you are just joining us, we want to say welcome to this evening edition of the Hour of Politics. We are talking politics here, analysis of Unity Party's 2023 campaign launch. That was something others say they have not seen before. So we want to look into that and see whether Josiah Yamambwaka with this launch is going to get the last laugh this time, because this is like something we have not seen before, but I will hold my peace. Let us get started here, gentlemen. Mr. Aliu Kamara, you might have paid so much attention than me and Mr. Blamo, given that that is your side. So you want to make sure you get everything. And so tell us, what did you see? Let's look at the attendance. Let's talk about the attendance. What did you see with the attendance today? Is this something you have seen with the Unity Party? Is this something you are seeing with any political party? And if you compare that with the launch of other political parties, what will you say, my friend?
First and foremost, it was an untold commitment on the part of the everyday Liberians, those who are direct victims of these subjugations and deprivation that have been imposed on them by George Weah and his entourage. These people would walk in rain, a rain that started midnight, did not stop until it was time for them to actually leave the venue. I saw these people in high number, I mean multitude of people. You know, I have never seen this kind of commitment before in a very, very, very long time. What set this particular launching aside from all of the other ones I've seen in recent days, is that the attendees were the contributors. They were the financiers of their own movement. You know, they paid their transportation, they bought their own water, they bought their own food, they sacrificed their own time, didn't get a dime in compensation, were willing to, the meager resources, they were willing to do that on their own. Unlike the CDC, where they had to pay people, they had to budget up to $1 million plus for transportation, which Sir Joseph and others have completely lacked, been put crippled the NTA and thereby enriching Sir Joseph during the entire process of their campaign. You know, I like to speak on the two groups, which is the Unity Party and the CDC, because they are the most relevant in this tournament. We know that the ANC did launch their own campaign in Kakata, but it was like a high school election. You know, it was not much to look at, so it didn't make any headways. But when we compare these two, the CDC and the Unity Party, the Unity Party definitely has a clear edge for the fact that it did not have to pay a dime to anyone. In fact, people up overseas and in Liberia were buying Unity Party shirts and giving it out to people. In fact, there were some Liberians, Kowe sellers, co-water sellers, who went and bought their own T-shirts. Bought their own T-shirts, go to the party headquarters and get it printed for them. So This was amazing. It was amazing. The crowd over there. We can estimate at least 100,000 people turned out today, which is unprecedented.
Wow, 100,000. What a number.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure of that. But before I bring Comrade Job Lambert in, you said that this is something you have not seen before. So let's look at history a little bit.
I said in a long time.
Okay, in a long time, because okay, Sandy agreed this might have happened before, maybe with the CDC, I suppose, in 2005 and forward, right? Seditians were seen printing their own T-shirts. They will call for a million man march, and they will descend on Monrovia, and the crowd will be generic, and it will be as huge as we have seen with this crowd. And what we also notice is CDCs, when they had that, huge attendance, uh, the CDC was winning elections. And now we see this with Boakai. But I want you to really tell me, is this similar in any way with what CDC used to do in the past?
First of all, there's a clear distinction between the CDC and the Unity Party.
Mm-hmm.
The CDC at the time, I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
The CDC at the time was based on the fact that George Weah was a star, is a star. The CDC at the time was based on the fact that George Weah was Lord. Okay, at that time, he had not performed. Nobody knew what he could do in terms of governance. So CDC, it was easier for CDC to look very popular at the time. In this scenario, the voters are comparing and contrasting here. Okay, the last 12 years before the CDC, they're comparing that to their life in the last 6 years with the CDC, and they draw the diagram and say, our life was better with Joseph Boakai, with more saving in the hands of Joseph Boakai. Judge Weah has performed, and we can now grade him at least 10% out of 100%. And therefore, we'd rather go back with Joseph Boakai than to stay with George Weah or to take a chance with another novice whom everybody think that they have connection, they're connected, and know people. Like everybody thought George Weah was going to bring Zidane and all those guys, and it happens that nobody turned out. So the best bet for the voters at this time is Joseph Yuma Boakai. Therefore, that makes it a guarantor. They feel guaranteed. They feel that Joseph Boakai is the man. So this is a different scenario, totally different scenario. There's a guarantee here that the Unity Party will win the election based on that.
Thank you. I mean, I was actually trying to gather from you whether there are similarities to what we saw with the CDC in the past.
If you're talking about crowd, yes, similarity. But we're talking about the strategy and the formation of the community, the strategy that formatted the crowd, they're not similar.
Well, I will leave it at that and go to Jablama. What I can say here is that you said Weah was a star, and so because of that, people came to the CDC because of his iconic stature at the time, and he was loved. So many people came to CDC. I mean, in essence, you are saying he was popular. Joseph Boakai has popularity too. Maybe that's why the people gravitated.
No, but let me clarify that for you.
Hold on. Maybe one of the reasons. Maybe another reason people went to the CDC because the political actors at the time were seen as the problem. And so they wanted somebody different, and Weah was somebody different. And maybe this time people are saying, well, Weah is no different than the other people, so they need somebody who will rescue them.
Well, not necessarily.
The popularity might have shifted to Joseph Boakai.
No, again, I have to come in.
Hold on, Aliyu, I have given you a chance. Hold on, Aliyu, I have given you a chance, my friend. All right. So the popularity now might be shifting to Joseph Boakai because the Liberian population is the population that are always looking for somebody who can lead them, somebody who can rescue them. This Messiah kind of person, brother.
I want you to just ask the question.
Oh, let me leave it there. Let me bring.
No. 1 minute. You can't leave it there.
Aliyu, please.
You can't leave it there because you interject.
Aliyu, please do not do that. Aliyu,
okay, go ahead.
Do not do that, please. Don't do that. You are not the only person here. Let me welcome our comrade Ambula Mambe. Comrade, thanks for joining us. We are discussing analysis of the Unity Party's campaign launch. Comrade Blambo, you saw the attendance today. There was a heavy downpour of rain. The CDC launch, there was no rain falling on that day. We saw the ANC launch. What jumped out of you? What did you see? What do you make of what you saw today with the United Party's launch? In the case of the CDC, CDC, bought T-shirts and begging people to take those T-shirts. In Waka's case, it was like a repeat of what happened to with CDC in the 2005 and forward. So, what do you make of the attendance today with the United Party's launch?
I take my hat off to Joe Barker. It was a good show, a statement. However, as you said, and no in politics, there are no permanent majority. The people are always looking for a messiah, and the party in power have a lot more to be criticized for. So in this case, Joe Barker made a point. However, the CDC actually made a turnout that was impressive. And the problem in Liberia is that all the parties are making the same statements. It's a crowd politics. Oh, let me see how many people can come on the street. And the focus is in Monrovia, where on a Sunday morning, there's nothing to do. People can have to come out. They can get their T-shirts. You say that they made their own T-shirts, but we know the poverty level in Liberia, 1 million people or 100,000 people are not going to make T-shirts. We saw some people showing us T-shirts saying that Vice President Joe Barker, Vice President, and divided $10 and they gave them free T-shirts. I'm not going to argue that on the show, but I know for a fact that those people in Monrovia, all of them are not going to make T-shirts. So either they have been, some of them got funded from the US and private parties. But that is not to take away from Joe's crowd. The thing is, Liberian people have always looked at democracy in a messiah syndrome, that they are looking for this great messiah. They want democracy, but they don't want to work for it. They look at it as a gift. So they are looking to the next messiah. In reality, there is no such thing. Even the one-person visionary leader that they are looking for don't exist in any democratic country except in Russia and China. And the people must be the change that they seek. The Liberian people must be prepared to work for that democracy.
I'm not sure of what you are saying, because when I see Liberians search for leadership, I think it's synonymous to most countries, even in the US. People will always decide who to vote for. All right. And I think it's the same thing the Liberian people are doing. It should be more so on the leaders who, whenever they are chosen by the people, will let the people down. Right. So to say that they are always looking for Messiah, I mean, can we say Americans are always looking for, or were they looking for Messiah when they voted for Trump?
I would say
Obama. So why you are saying that they're looking for? I don't see it that way.
Okay, I would say that your comparison of Liberian democracy with American democracy is a vast difference. The Americans are not looking for a messiah. Liberians are. We have an 1847 political system that deprived a vast majority of their people from the right to elect their local leaders in the counties. We have a power system where 5% of the country rule 95% of the country. So there is no balance of power in Liberia. So everybody is looking at the power from the top, whereas in the United States, there is a balance of power. So there's the seeking of a messiah in the United States and Liberia. It's not the same, and it's not the same kind of seeking. In the United States, there are many leaders. In Liberia, we want one leader.
Thank you. And let me bring you back to the Unity Party's launch, the crowd. Why will you make up the crowd? How will you describe the gathering of the people? What you think influenced them, or what motivated them? And did anything different motivate them compared to what got people to gather for the CDC event? Do you see different reasons why Liberians gather at those separate occasions? If you say yes, what would that be?
I believe they're the same reason. They are looking for a savior. Like they found a savior in George Weah. They are looking for a savior. There is a deficit in the self-sacrificing of our Liberian citizens. They want
Besides looking for savior,
yeah.
did anything else influence them? Were they motivated? Do you see any inducement from the other side that led some of the people to have gathered in t-shirts and anything?
The motivation is always the same.
Which is
The human being wants jobs. The human being wants opportunities. The thing is, we have not, as citizens, apply ourselves with a system to get to change and to make this thing happen. And we are always looking for the outside force to come in and do it for us.
right.
And that the same spirit that is leading now. And Joe Barker is not producing any more crowd than John we have produced.
Thank you.
In his term.
Thank you. Let me come to you, Comrade Mame. I'm sure you might have looked at some pictures, might have watched some videos. We played a video earlier. Let me show you just two of those pictures. This is one of them. You can see the streets. The street there is completely filled with people. This is, I believe, another one. You can see people in green and white. We saw similar thing with the CDC. But on the CDC day, it was not raining. Today was raining. You know, my brother, Liberian people, they are always afraid of rain. When they see the rain, they run. This time they said, no, we're not running. We're going to assemble. What do you read in all this?
In Liberia, sorry for the background to where I am. I came to speak to a family friend. Okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't get back home up to the time the show, so I got to stick in the car, to fulfill my commitment to you guys. Thank you. The fact is, there is a shift in the paradigm of expression of political support that we see. The characteristics of how partisans assembled before are shifting from one political structure to the other. We were in CDC. We were marched behind George Weah from his house. We were assembled to the house in the morning. As a matter of fact, I was part of the intellectual response unit. We'll sit with George Weah in the living room first. We'll talk about the message to go and communicate before we get outside the fence. We will walk with George Weah from rehab, pass through red light, go through Freeport, come to Broad Street, take Sincor, and somewhere at the party headquarters. That's what we did. When the people did that, they were hoping on something. In that crowd, we have footballers who were hoping that when George Weah become president, he will transform football and they will have opportunities to travel. There will be soccer academies and they will be able to train and meet the condition to travel to Europe and other leagues. In that crowd were young people who wanted to go to school. They were looking for opportunities where they can get better education. In that crowd were women who were looking for opportunities to improve their businesses. In that crowd were professionals. What we saw today with the Unity Party was just a redo of what CDCs did in the past. We saw people in Liberia who, when it's raining, they can't go to school because it's raining. Who, when it's raining, they can't go to work because it's raining. Somebody who didn't go to the hospital because it is raining. When the rain starts to fall, the entire street is clear. People will shut down their businesses because it's raining. Today, not that the people only walk under the rain, but they swim in the water. The message we take from that is not that the people are only looking for a savior, like the two other panelists alluded to, which I partly agree with. The people are not only looking for a messiah, the people are retaliating. What we saw today is a form of retaliation. People felt betrayed, people felt disappointed, People are frustrated that they have a president who made all these promises. We know there are global and other domestic challenges, but drugs is taking over the country. And this president, the most affected segment of the drugs are the young people on whose blood and sweat he became president. He can't say a word, for heaven's sake. Let's agree you're not part of it, you're not benefiting from the drugs, just to express righteous anger that the people on whose sweat and blood are became president are being destroyed by drugs dealers. To express that anger, you can't say anything. Today, the people in our street, there were parents who were retaliating against drugs. We are silence on how drugs destroying their children. In our rally today, there were footballers who feel betrayed that George Weah lied to them. That even as president for 6 years, Liberia is the only country in the Mana River sub-region that did not qualify for the African Cup of Nations as a footballing president. That in 6 years, we have dropped 5 steps below the FIFA ranking ladder since George Weah became president. So where he met us, we dropped 5 steps below. There were footballers in that crowd that were frustrated. But this is why we take from the Liberian People Party movement. We believe that was an expression of people wanting survival, people wanting jobs, but also people retaliating. So now that we know that Liberians are angry to the point where they can walk in the street mass from Banaville to Monrovia, that they can lie down in the water. If they are angry to that extent, then we offer them solutions. So we see what happened today as an opportunity to speak more to our people on what Congo can do to solve their problems, on what Congo can do to address the poverty issue, to address the job issue, to address the drug issue. So I want to start on that note, just as my introductory comments, that we see this particular rally as an opportunity. The expression that came from the rally today gives us hope that Liberians are done with we are, and they are looking for options, and we prepare now to send our message to them and sell our candidate and tell them we are the better option.
Thank you. And folks, if you are just joining us, this is the Hour of Politics. I'm Anthony here hosting topic analysis of Unity Party's 2023 campaign launch. Aliu Kamara is seated, Ja Blamo is seated, and I also have with me Ambola Mame, and my name is Anthony Sier. Gentlemen, this attendance with this launch, I continue to emphasize the issue of the rain. I was in Liberia and you all were run from the rain. The Liberian people said no. Remember, mentioned that some of them were swimming in the rain water that was flowing through the streets, and they just didn't care. And he said they want to retaliate. They want to send a message to the administration of the day that is not paying attention to their cries. That's another thing. But I want us to look at what will this do? Does it mean that the Unity Party stands the most chance now to win? Let me give you something. The cry here was similar with Darius Dillon. The CDC had launched with Thomas Fowler. The cry was huge. They were induced. They printed shirts and barrels. They gave it to the people. And they came and they put on a huge crowd. In Dillon's case at that time, 2020, if I'm not mistaken, that's the year, the crowd printed their own t-shirt. They even raised money. Now we see people raising money for the Unity Party. People are contributing their nickels and dimes. Dillon will go and win in a landslide. Can we look at this scenario that's similar to Dillon and say Joe Bwaka is going to get the last life? Or this is just similar to the crowd politics with campaign launches that we've seen in the past? Let's start with you this time, Mr. Jablamo. Pull on your political cap here. You from the lab days. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute. Okay, good.
Coming from the party of Barker Matthews, where we were purely a crowd-based organization, and what we produce and what we taught is based on that. Looking at this crowd and seeing what CDC produced, I believe it's just a crowd. It's a statement. The reality is we have to see if this have an impact on the actual election. And I still hold the belief that Liberians are very used to addressing symptoms instead of causes. The problem in Liberia is cannot be solved by one visionary leader. And Liberians crowd cannot be an automatic interpretation of a one round victory for a candidate. Because the country is vast, the politics is deep, and the social economic conditions are different. And at the end of the day, CDC has a crowd. And Borga have a crowd. And Gonglo have a crowd. And we will see how they impact the votes. But the crowd politics is a statement of the time. In politics, no majority is permanent. So that's my view on the crowd.
And Mr. Ja, the thing is that, I mean, Mr. Blamo, sorry, CDC had a crowd, and the crowd suggested that they had a majority in 2017. They will go to win the election. Daros did not have a crowd that was generic, as we saw with Joseph Boakai. He will go to that election against the CDC or Thomas Fowler, even though CDC put on a crowd. But if you look at the composition of the crowd, you saw that there was a crowd that was not induced, and there was this one that was induced. The one that was not induced was a Daros crowd, and that's how we go to win. So to dismiss what is a generic, monumental, gathering of the people, all right, making a statement as they make a statement to the CDC with Daros at the time. Why can't we now think that this suggests that Boakai has a chance here, and maybe the most chance?
Because a county election is different from a national election.
And I mentioned the national election with CDC in 2017, and they won.
Yeah, but CDC was sitting running against a president who had a term had expired. You have a sitting president.
And you think that is not similar with president we have today? Don't you think the people are angry? Or maybe mention promises that were made and he failed? For example, the wings of Liberia, they promised this plane, this airline.
The grievances of the people is legitimate. And they are
so that should be enough for them to teach the CDC a lesson, as they did with Dillon, right?
I won't say so. The path to the solution is the problem. The grievances are legitimate, but the path
when the people are angry, when they want to send a message, you think they are particular about solution at that time? Don't you think they are more particular about sending a message to the one they are angry at? Don't you see this way?
I see that they send a message, but it doesn't say that there is an automatic victory for Joe Boakai.
It translated in an automatic victory with CDC in 2017.
It was a difference. It was a different political setting. And CDC was running and against a president who was leaving.
Who was leaving?
So it's a different situation. Ellington said he had no interest in the presidency.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alio, I know why you're going to tell me this, that this is a done deal. So I give you a simple question. Is there a done deal? Is Boakai going to the executive mansion?
Look, listen. You already admitted that the crowd was organic. They were not mixed with anything. They were not induced or anything.
That's my observation.
Yes. So I mean, you answered most of my questions before you asked. Now let's go back a little bit in retrospect. In 1997, that's the election where my eyes were really open. We saw a crowd that some people even testified that it seemed like ghosts were coming back from the dead. For Charles Taylor.
Yeah.
Charles Taylor did not have to give a dime to anyone, a dollar to anyone. That was an organic crowd. Charles Taylor will go to win over 70% of the election. We saw CDC in 2017. George Weah didn't have a dime when they didn't have to pay the people who give their loyalty to George Weah. George Weah will go to win that election over 60%. This is the record we saw today. And whenever I'm on a show that Mommy is on, I don't get to talk too much because the brother is objective. You know what I'm saying? Like he touches everything. And so there's no need for me to have my head.
Is he too smart for you?
Not even close. Man, that man didn't want to in you met over other acting a long time ago. So we're not even, but let me tell you this. Look, the signs are written on the wall. We can conduct a poll today in Liberia, like among Liberian voters. I'm not talking about overseas voters. Among Liberian voters, abruptly. Some people don't see it as an indicator, but I do see it as an indicator. It will be clear that Joseph Boakai is actually in the lead today. Now, Mark May will talk about the one Gongo. That's his job. You know, he's a surrogate now. He's a pundit now for Taiwan. He has to say that. But that person sitting over there will admit to you in an unequivocal term that Joseph Boakai got this. It's in the ballpark. So what we need to be thinking about now is how can we solidify enough in the Unity Party to make this a one-time. I cannot guarantee 100% that this is going to be this is a first round thing. Okay, but I can surmise the possibility.
I get what you are saying is that, like the people who are on Joseph Boakai's side, how do you maintain that momentum? What are the things you focus on? Where do you direct the little resources you may have? How do you manage expectation? How do you keep the people engaged till election day, even if it goes to second round? What will the Unity Party do? You are a surrogate now. Give me something.
No, I'm not worried about maintaining what Unity Party already has, because what Unity Party already has, it did not have to work for too hard. You see other parties call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses. They're spending untold sum of money. We know some of them losing $70,000 just like a $70,000 LD. Unity Party has not had to spend that. To do that, the crowd you saw today, like I said, these people are voluntary crowd who were never even coerced. Unity Party only challenge now is the several Liberians who are still sitting outside and still thinking, I wonder is Joseph Boakai. I wonder is Cummins. I wonder is Taiwan. That is Joseph Boakai's target at this point. What is already in your hand, you don't have to fight for. The people you saw today are with Joseph Boakai. And those people you saw today, they're just representation of several hundred thousands who could not make it in. Some of those people represent their brothers, their sisters, their mothers. Some of those people, they're one member of a family that actually went over there today, even though there are about 6 or 7 members of that family, they all go for the Unity Party. And I have actual statistics to prove that based on the community where my house is and the place my woman lives right now, the entire community, I'm talking about Banner there, that entire community is Joseph Boakai, but they send their children and they all stay back. So this thing is a victory for Joe Boakai. Like I said before to you is, I cannot guarantee a one round, but I can surmise the possibility of it, mathematically speaking.
I believe that
no, Mr. Blamo, is Mame's time.
Okay.
Mame, it is about what can we read into this with political victory for Boakai. CDC had similar crowd, they don't have similar crowd, and I'm glad that Ali went back into history and mentioned Charles Taylor with that crowd that was organic, and those translated into political victory for the three instances that I cited. Is it too early to say Boakai is on his way? And what does he need to do now? Is there a possibility that they might drop the ball? Or is it way too late for them to drop the ball? Are the Liberian people resolved, as the Unity Party will say at this time?
The Liberian people are resolved, and their resolution is on, rejecting George Weah. That is their resolution. What they not resolve on is, like they are resolved on rejecting Weah. What they not resolve on yet is who to replace Weah to address their bread and butter issue. They are resolved that George Weah must go. No if and end about it. What I saw today is beyond a testimony. What I saw today. Never in Liberia's recent political history have people gathered in the manner and form they gather today. So that gathering, like I said, was a composition of two groups of people. One group there purposely on a retaliation mission. They want to punish Weah. But also, they want to send a message to their incoming leader that they are not fools, that you cannot use us and dump us. That's one group. Another group show up today, another composition of that group today are people who really looking for solution and found that particular gathering as an opportunity to express that, yeah, we want solution. We want to bring end to this drugs issue. We want jobs. We don't want people paying YFE for us. We want our dignity. Where when we go to graduation of our children, we can boast. That's the Liberian culture. Parents go to graduation and brag about how they struggle to pay their children's school fees, how they spend their resources to pay their children. They don't want to go to graduation talking about are they may pay the post school fee from 5th grade to 6th grade, are they other representative pay from 9th grade to 10th grade, may pay the YFE. Parents don't want to do that. They want to go to their children's graduation bragging about how they committed their resources to paying their children's fees. They don't want to be liabilities. So they went to that gathering today looking for solution for jobs. For the group that want to retaliate, I can give it to Boakai. The component of the group that want to retaliate, they're not thinking, they're not very conscious. They're in an angry mood. So they're just running with Boakai. They want him. Whatever thing that can get rid of Weah, they go with it. The other group of people who were there, who want to bring an end to this drugs issue and looking for somebody with track record and commitment to fighting these kind of things, those are the group we want to speak to. That component of the group that are looking for somebody who can make reasonable proposals to create jobs in 12 months are the people we want to speak to. So I wouldn't agree with you that it's a win for Boakai and Boakai can go to bed and sleep because people rally in the rain today. No. We acknowledge that what happened today is unprecedented, but we see two groups of people. The angry group who want to retaliate, who want to punish George Weah for how he misled them, for his silence on the drugs that are destroying their children, for his failure to improve football in Liberia. That group going to Boakai. The group looking for solutions, those are open. And that is the opportunity we see. That's why going forward now, I trying to take leave from my job because I see opportunity that the people don't want George Weah again. So I trying to take a leave for the next 2-3 weeks so that we can present our candidate to them that since we already convinced that you don't want George Weah again, George Weah is not part of your option. Here is Gongolo. How can he create a job? One, for example, we are proposing as part of our agenda for job creation in Liberia after the first 12 months. The African cloth that we can wear only during campaign time, what the politicians can wear only during campaign time, that the women in Cape Mount, Bombing, Bapulu, and other places are fixing with their hand. There is a soft version for it that is not heated. Every public school in Liberia will use African cloth as uniform. What that does is, I know that we spend over 7.2 million on importing uniforms for students. The cost of uniform is $40. When we transition from importing uniform from China to using our African cloth to produce uniform for schools, we'll be creating more than 25,000 jobs for the women in Cape Mount and other places. And instead of spending $7.2 million that will go to China, we spend it right in Liberia and create jobs right in Liberia. National identity will be attached to the students while they're in school. At the same time, they wear uniform that pay their mothers and their aunties will create that job. We already know the problem, the reason why people are not producing a whole lot. They're not producing a whole lot because the small manufacturing, something, they're not big manufacturing factory, small scale manufacturing to fast track the production is not available. In the first 1 year, we will work to establish those structures. In the second year, every public school will wear national identity with the African club, creating jobs and putting money in the hands of the women.
Comrade Mabel, thank you. That it seems to be your end is getting dark, so we can't see your face. If you can move to where you may have light, we appreciate that. So that the Liberian people will be able to see who is providing the information right there. Gentlemen, Aleo.
Yes, sir.
Let's look at the Lofa by-election of recent. Joseph Boakai, with his popularity, this election was scheduled in his hometown of Lofa County. In the game of football, we say in his backyard. And Unity Party said, this is a done deal. No way on planet Earth, a CDC, this unpopular, they argue, with all the tinted record of correction, can defeat a Joseph Boakai in his own backyard. This Senate seat is for the Unity Party to win, and CDC is wasting a time. We saw an opposite when the result came out. We can litigate intellectually what happened, what didn't happen. But I can share with you, Unity Party lost that election in Boakai's backyard. Boakai went to Lofa County. He was there during the election. And yet, that victory was not on Boakai's side. Why shouldn't we fear anything like that repeating itself despite the crowd that we see? Give me something.
By the way, if Mame really believe that only the crowd that don't have enough sense will go behind Joseph Boakai, and the smart ones who understand the situation will be behind Tawa Gonglo. We're wishing to see the day when Tawa Gonglo will launch his campaign. Let's see those crowds that will turn out there. We're waiting to see that day. But you know, the Lofa County issue, I expect kind of saw that coming. You know, Lofa County is a delicate issue. We had those things happen before, like 2013, and so on and so forth. Joseph Boakai did lift people's hands up in Lofa County where they lost. However, in 2017, Joseph Boakai will go to claim Lofa County twice, back to back. All right. So the issue with Lofa County, like I said, is a delicate one. Remember, Lofa is a tribal, heavily tribal society that it's almost impossible to penetrate with any other culture or custom that is not African. That's how Lofa County is. Mommy was talking about African dress codes. You go to look at them.
In Liberia is not a traditional country where you have tribes,
But
in every.
your question was limited to Lofa. So I'm answering your
We
question
are
based
talking
on.
national politics, Ali. That was just a scenario.
But
So
I asked me,
if you want to dive
national question. I asked me
into
local question. You just let me answer the
that,
question. You asked me a local question, so I got to give you a local answer. All right. So remember, you had Zago, who is a Loma man
right.
in Lofa County. So the other people from the other side, the Kisi, the Kandi, the Mende, and the Mandingo, including Pele, insist that you cannot have two Loma people representing Lofa County, a county of 6 different tribes. When Steve Zago ran under CDC, he barely got 5,000 votes.
Aliu,
Because of Joseph Walker, Steve Zago
let us stick to things that are relevant to the national discourse, right?
Yeah, but I got to answer your question the way
the election that took place in Lofa County, what we were told, that I believe, because I verified that, is that Unity Party did not do a good job in protecting their vote. They were not seen at many polling places to represent and protect the Unity Party vote. They were nowhere around. So that hurt them. So the question is, should they repeat itself? Will it not honor Joseph Waka's change? And do they have anything in them to avoid that?
Okay, those are assuming facts. Those are not facts, evidence-based facts. Okay, I can
No,
only speak. I can
those are
only
facts.
speak.
I verified them. I don't just tell people
Yeah,
things.
okay. You verified them, but we have not been able to legitimately verify them. So we cannot use it as the Bible at this point.
Unity Party had about $10,000 at the 11th hour, and part of that money reportedly got squandered by some of the officials there. So that
What happened with the money situation was the money was given from the United Party to that of Galipai Kotime's campaign team. Remember, Galipai Kotime had a own campaign team. The only reason why Galipai Kotime was even able to win over 20,000 votes in Lover County was because of Joseph Boaka. Either way it would have turned out, it was almost impossible based on the tribal differences for two Loma people to represent Lofa Kate. It was not going to be possible. The Bantu people
why
normally.
don't you think they tribal differences? We've had so many tribes in Liberia. We have the Bassa people. If they don't go Boaka as well, maybe because he's not their uncle, and maybe the Crown, and maybe the Crew, and all the ethnic group may not go Boaka with because he's not their uncle. Will they not hurt the Unity Party? Because you are saying, well, in Lofa at the time, the Kotoma guy was from this side, so everybody went with their kinsman or with their tribal guy, and so Joseph Boaka didn't have any much influence on his people at the time. So, but then when it comes to national election, it's different. Is that what I'm hearing?
But you said national. There's a difference between national and local. I want you to understand one thing. You might not be from the north or central Liberia. They have almost a uniformity of culture. There are some slight differences, but they normally concord on the same thing. Okay? Now it is different when it's national because then you have, listen to me now, you have Bassa people in the campaign, right? You have Crew people in the campaign, right? You have group of people in the campaign. In Lofa County, it is Lofa election. So we're talking local election and we're talking national election. What affect local election does not necessarily holistically have to affect national election. I just want you to know that.
All right, thank you. Like you're talking Crew.
Anthony,
go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify something briefly, if you can allow.
Yeah, sure, do that.
Oh, okay. So, Kamara, what I was saying was, I did not say people who get sense not supporting Boaka. I'm saying people looking for solution who have not really believed that Boaka offers that solution are the gap that we see and we want to communicate to. So we're not saying only people who angry will support Boaka and people who get sense will not support him. That was not what I was saying. I'm saying, yes, those people who just want to punish we are, they already will Boaka. But in that crowd, there were people who looking for solution. We are not convinced that they see the solution with Bwaka, and we see as an opportunity to communicate and get them on our side.
Thanks for the clarity. Thanks for the clarity. We're waiting for the day of the launch, though.
We launched already in Nimba. Probably you've not been following.
I saw you there, but I wanted you to do it one more time so we can see the cry again.
You know, our strategy is actually different.
And Mr. Mohammed, I want you to continue on that. The question I asked Aliu, I followed the by-election in Lofa County very consistently, but now he tried to tell me, well, it's a local election, it's different. I think he might be saying, well, if you look at the Unity Party, the chairman there is one tapper. I saw an event in Nikru Town where he spoke. I saw him speaking through struggling with the local language. That was unfortunate on his part. But hey, I can't blame the man. I don't know where he grew up. But so because he has that connection with Bwaka and the Unity Party, his crew, some crew people will go there. But if you look on the other side, some people are crew in Nikru Town, they might go where we are. So I'm not buying what he's explaining to me, that the reason why Unity Party did not win the election is because it was a local election. I think it was more so because Unity Party did not do a good job. So my question is, if Unity Party should not do a good job as they did not do a good job in Lofa County, should they fear or should we have any reason to believe that this thing might not be theirs?
But yeah, the people in Lofa are not the voting bank that you can just withdraw. There are factors that influencing their decision to vote.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot rule out the factor, the traditional factor. The traditional factor is a big one that influences their vote. I can't rule that out. But there are other factors too that you don't just want to dismiss and place under the traditional factor and make the traditional factor as a sole factor responsible for how the people in Lofa County or in any other county, as a matter of fact, will vote. Besides the traditional factor, the people in Lofa see this election as the opportunity for their son to be president. You want to look at the tribal factor. That's the tribal factor I'm talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
That tribal factor is the people say, oh, but you know, of all the people we've been seeing, there's our son being vice president before, and he coming up like that and showing the type of support. Why we can't stand behind him being president too? Why should we vote for somebody who from where the Southeast? When the Southeast people ready, they can vote for Joe. We are 90% because of their son. Why don't we vote for our own son 90%? That is the tribal factor. But there are other underlying factors. The factors of trust in the ability of this tribal and traditional factor to provide them jobs. Confidence to address the challenges they face. They are farmers. Most of them are farmers.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make farm. They want to produce more food. Do they trust the Unity Party arrangement to address those problems? There are young people who have grown out of the tradition. They are exposed to Western, they are exposed to urban ideas. I don't want to say Western. Mm-hmm. They are exposed to urban ideas. They are more ambitious than the tradition. Do they trust the current arrangement? For us, our assessment in Lofa County is showing that a significant number of people in Lofa County are not just going by the tradition and the tribal factor. While we acknowledge that the tribal and traditional factor is a major factor, but there are other people who are not relying on the tribal and traditional factor. It is those people who want to appeal to. It is those people who want to speak to. If they're listening to us today, those are the people who want to speak to. What we want to tell them is the reason why you're in Lofa and you're struggling to make farms and government cannot invest into policies and programs to make you increase your yield. It's because of corruption. The investment that have been created by NGOs, by government, years in, years out. The last time I wrote on agriculture in Liberia, we were counting close to $1 billion that have been invested by NGOs, government, and international partners in Liberia. The last time I wrote. The reason why that money have not impacted your agriculture in Lofa is because of corruption. We are offering you a candidate who the United States consider as the czar for anti-corruption in Liberia, the icon for anti-corruption, who has lived his entire life fighting corruption. That's the candidate we offer to you. And say when you elect him, he will address the corruption issue and open the barrier and break the barrier so that resources can be invested in Lofa so you can produce your food and live independent. We want to speak to those people.
Mr. Mohammed, at the end of the day, when it is time for the people to vote, after all the messaging, the plans being explained to the people, in most instances, it is the sentiment that is drawn out of those plans
Yes.
that drive the people to the vote, or to the ballot box to vote for a particular person. And whoever embodies that sentiment in the majority always tend to win. You said you were with the CDC. I know CDC had, I think, 12 pillows that they explained at the time. How many of those people understood that and were prepared to listen to it? At the end of the day, it was the sentiment that we are is different. We are is one of us. We are will do all of the things we hear or we don't hear. And so they voted for him. The same thing can be said with Dillon. We are disappointed, or Dillon say he's the light. We don't know how you're going to be a senator, but we're going to vote for him. And they voted for him. The message of the Liberian People's Party with Tiawan Gonglo, one of Liberia's best sons, who should be president, by the way. I don't always have my feelings here because we're looking for better leadership. If that sentiment were with Gonglo, with this message, there will be an entirely different thing. But what I see, that the whole rescue thing is catching a fire with Waka. I'm not believing that that will translate into the government that will deliver the goods. But sadly, the settlement always take the day. So, do do you people have time to see that sentiment in your favor with your message? Because the Brown Revolution should be taking center stage. Liberians tend to say that they hate corruption. We all cry about corruption every day. So the man who holds the broom, which is a symbol of sweeping corruption, he's yet to gain that traction, and the settlement is yet to be on his side in a monumental way that we see with Waka. So do you have time?
In election, even 24 hours is sufficient to shape votes.
Right.
Depending on what happens. 24 hours is sufficient.
Right.
We got more than 20 days to shift, the paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
What is even giving up more hope, for which I want to take leave, is the crowd we saw today.
Okay.
That crowd we saw today told us a whole lot. I don't know whether the United Party people
analyze it. Took 5 years, Mame. It took 5 years for that crowd to tilt in Waka's direction. And you think that the 28 days left is enough? The 28 days?
No, it didn't take 5 years. It took few things.
Okay.
It took Weah's silence on the drugs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It took Weah's decision to build more horses for himself than to build schools for the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
It took Weah's action to refuse to prosecute previous and current corrupt government officials. Mm-hmm. So it took few things. It did not take 5 years.
Okay.
So we're not looking at the time. We're looking at the factors. And it is those factors that will be playing on in the next 20 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not looking at time, we're looking at factors.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Jablamo, let me come to you. And gentlemen, we're going to be going to the phone lines also to hear from Liberians what they make of this organic attendance of the Unity Party's campaign launch today on a heavy downpour of rain, something I have not seen before for Liberians to have gathered in that much multitude, despite heavy downpour of rain, despite they not being induced with significant amount of t-shirts being printed by the Unity Party, despite they not being induced by any significant amount of money, as was in the case with the CDC. What can we make of all of this? We want to hear from those who are watching right now. The phone line will soon be open. The number to call is in the student text below 605-313-6004, and the code is 791403. I will put it in the Facebook live feed for you to see. Alio, was I coming to Jablamo?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said Jack.
Okay, Jad.
yeah.
So, I mean, you listen to the question I asked my man. At the end of the day, it's about sentiment. It seems to be a stating in Bwaka's way. I see a huge voter appetite in Bwaka's favor. Uh, did Bwaka have to do anything at this time, or he just need to ride on the wave, like a fisherman, like I would do as a fisherman, ride on the wave, to take you on shore? Is that all he needs to do?
I believe that Joe Walker have maxed out. He made a very strong statement, and that's good for him.
Mhm,
But all the parties have made similar statements.
mhm,
And elections are about the highest votes acquired
mhm,
from the electorals, whether it's CPP, UP, CDC, or the Gongo Party. As the election draws near, the political atmosphere will remain tense. Every party will promise and say, I'm the solution. The opposition forces will say George Weah cannot be re-elected. However, any party can win this election, including the huge mass of honor-informed and honor-educated people. So the essence of democracy is the forces are fully mobilizing. Anybody can win the election. And the future belongs to the youth. That is a part of this political discussion that may affect Joe Walker. And the fact that Joe Walker was not able to win mass support from Lofa County and his coalition with Nima County and his vice president is a factor. So that would let the electoral decide.
All right. Thank you. Alio,
Yeah.
if the Unity Party is to win the thing with Joseph Boakai, going beyond this crowd and this launch, why will it be? And if the Unity Party is to lose the election somehow, what would be the reason that will cause that from now going forward?
Well, the only thing that will cause the Unity Party to lose the election is if the election is not free and fair. That's the only thing that will cause the Unity Party to lose this election. But what would make the Unity Party win the election? George Weah will make the Unity Party to win the election. The Liberian people have several choices, but they have two options at this point in time. It is the CDC and it is the Unity Party. Ranking George Weah comparatively with that of Joseph Boakai, Joseph Boakai has the automatic edge, given his experience and his records in the areas of agriculture and administration, in fact, even in the private sector and non-governmental agencies. Those records are there. Now, George Weah has performed in the last 6 years. George Weah has made the country poorer than what it was prior to his ascendancy. George Weah has made the country a lot insecure than it was prior to his ascendancy. George Weah has created, George Weah, in fact, everything has been taking a downtrend since George Weah took over as president compared to when Joseph Boakai administration existed. So it's a clear call. What the people are doing now is they're doing simple comparative analysis in a low method or manner. And they say, but we were better off 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we had a little bit more security. 6 years ago, our poverty rate was dropping 6 years ago, but now it's increasing. 6 years ago, we had police who could at least wear their blue uniform, and their blue uniform were at least clean 6 years ago. But now everything has deteriorated. I mean, badly, and it continues to plummet.
And so
And
finally,
therefore,
Alio, and if I
mhm.
may, if anybody is to be given credit for the organic attendance of the Unity Party's launch today in a huge faction, Will it be the people who are resolved and came out to make a statement? Will it be the Unity Party that has done its homework? Or will it be Joseph Boakai, who has provided leadership? Who you think deserve that credit, or who should the
No,
credit?
no doubt, Joseph Boakai is loved. No doubt about that. He's a loving, people love him. There's no question about it. A great number of that crowd were over there because of only Joseph Boakai. They don't give a damn about United Party. But the credit of it all goes to the United Party. Remember, we have other very strong candidates in the race, and some of who we admire.
Why
I
are you giving
admire.
Unity Party credit? What did they do? What did the Unity Party do to earn
Yeah,
the?
I admire Tawan Gonglo. We have Tawan Gonglo in the race. We have others coming in the race. Yet, the Liberian people are looking in the direction of the Unity Party. And the reason why they're looking in the direction of the Unity Party is because of the record the Unity Party has set. Remember, the other
Don't you
people have
think
not.
it's this sentiment that we want to go with the person who has the likelihood of winning? Don't you think this is why it is? It's not because the Unity Party probably will provide better government?
Winning can never be abstracted as it is
You
either.
said to me on this platform, if you had your choice, you will vote for Tiawon Gonglo.
I did not say that.
Let me end my statement. You can disagree with me, my friend. And you said, well, you want to be on the winning side. So you are with Waka, and correct
What
me.
I clearly said was, we have a Joseph Boakai and a Tawan Gonglo, two traditionalists. Look at Tawan Gonglo campaign. Tawan Gonglo, everywhere he go, he got the sangba and the culture truth and the elders and the chiefs and the zones. That is that is my lineage. That is what I believe in. The Africanness. Tawan Gonglo has that. We have two guys. Tawan Gonglo also have a upstanding record as a lawyer in Liberia. Me and Tawan Gonglo were at the hospital at the same time when we were beating as a result of advocacy. I respect the Paps very much, but I have him in the race. I have Joseph Boakai in the race. Both of them two outstanding people with impeccable credentials. All right, but then on the other, I'm coming. On the other hand, Tawan Gonglo is way down in terms of number. Boakai is up in terms of number. The both of them are equally respected. I mean, it's only logical to choose the one who will win because either way, there's no losing for me.
Okay,
you understand what I'm saying? So that's why I had to choose Joseph Boakai.
All right, so you just want to win, even though you prefer.
I explained to you. I don't know how you want me to explain.
You did that, and I'm giving my interpretation.
Can I make a point?
You spoke English. I try to understand you a little bit. Finally, similar question before we go to the phone lines. Our callers are waiting.
Can I make a point?
You deserve any credit here. The people who came out to make a statement, maybe to represent themselves this time, to say, no, enough is enough of this government, they're not doing better, should they be given credit? Or the credit should be given to the Unity Party as a political institution, or should we give the credit to Joseph Boakai, who provided leadership as the political leader of the Unity Party? Who will you give the credit and why?
Can I make a point?
Please, go
ahead. Are you asking me?
Go ahead. No, I'm asking Jab Lambo.
Yeah, I believe that the Honorable Joseph Boakai is at the right place, the right time. But the crowd that he generates is a crowd that is making the statement either against the current administration and the seek of Messiah. I don't believe that they have made sufficient coalition building, because from what Mr. Kamara is saying, they could have gone with Gonglo as a vice president. But he admits that this is all about winning. So the solution to our problem in Liberia is in jeopardy. So you bring in a candidate so that you can win power. But it's not about solving the real problem. There's no Messiah figure in this race that can save the people from themselves. Everybody making the calculation as to who to win. That will put the whole election in jeopardy, that CDC could also win, or nobody can win. And they will have to come together. And in the second round, that will be a whole new ball game.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lamo. And folks in cyberspace, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. This is a program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony CA, your host. We are discussing analysis of the Unity Party's 2023 campaign launch. They had a very organic crowd today on a heavy downpour of rain that was heavy enough, and Liberians could have just stayed away as they would do whenever they see rain. This time, they said no. We are going, and they were in green, and they were in white, and the marsh, and they were swimming in the water running down the streets of Monrovia. This is something that is somehow different. Well, we will take a short break. When we come back, we will be getting calls from you. So,
before you go to the break, before you go to the break, something I wanted to end with. You want to give the attendees the credit. We appreciate the attendees, but the credit goes to the Unity Party. Something motivated those attendees. So the Unity Party is the one that motivated them.
And it could be that they were motivated by their own conditions, and they wanted, a time. And
somebody brought it to their attention.
They wanted something. They wanted something, and then they chose to go with the Unity Party.
All right, go ahead.
I'll give them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We will take a short break. When we come back, we will be taking your phone calls. We want to hear from you what you saw today. What do you make of it? Does it mean Bwaka is on his way this time to the executive mansion? Or will this be a repeat of 2017 when he got humiliated politically? Well, let's take that break.
Is a fellow Liberian, want to say thank you. Thank you for the love.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
So this year, we'll go to the phone lines right away. On the line there is the man Kev Hassan, I believe, or Kev, phone number ending 0047. We will take your call. Let's hear from you. You saw the Unity Party's launch today. What do you read from this huge attendance, and who will you give credit for what we saw today? And do you think this crowd was organic compared to the CDC's crowd? Was the crowd not induced, as was the case with the CDC? Or what would be your argument? What would be your analysis? What do you make of this?
Well, let me say hi to you guys. But, sometimes choice of words, words that we put out, infused and organic, infused versus organic. Are you saying the CDC crowd were not organic? Or are you saying the only people that can put out organic crowd is the Unity Party? I think you guys wrong. Because what happened today is Unity Party. Nothing extra. It's Unity Party. Unity Party came out as Unity Party. But it fell short of the expectation. They oversell this entire launching because they will have a bigger crowd than needed.
If you assess what happened to me by the drone photo, you can make your own judgment. But if you want to send a red meat, you can also than the red meat if you are leaning someplace else. But you cannot put this crowd. Number one, Monserrato.
Kev, you are a member of the CDC. The last time I saw you, you have a name tag that's saying spokesman for something for the CDC. So it's obvious you will say that.
Yeah,
what I want from you, my friend,
I'm a spokesman for that.
Thank you and congratulations for that empty portfolio. What I want to get from you, my dear friend, is that is there anybody you can give credit for what we saw today? And you know, during your launch, the CDC launch, there was no heavy downpour of rain. In the Unity Party's case, the rain was very heavy and people show up. Who do you give credit here?
But you see, that's the problem here. The president campaign under heavy rain, and you saw the people came out. Now they launch it. Well, the president was going from district to district. There's a famous photo the president was standing under the rain. And the Unity Party people mock the CDC and say, oh, the president is awful, you campaigning under the rain. So everybody will come out, rain or shine. Unity Party is the oldest party. So you can't come here and say because the rain, so let's give them extra back because of rain. The president campaigned under rain. He stood under the rain. And you saw that.
Kev, CDC was in opposition in 2017. CDC was in opposition in 2017 election, right? And you put up a huge crowd. Something I believe was organic, as was the case with the Unity Party. The CDC will go and win that election. Can this be similar? Can Joseph Walker with the Unity Party win this time? As opposition, they put on a huge generic crowd.
You see, let's look at Monserrato. Monserrato, I would call it, is a since post-war, it become a political graveyard for ruling party. By what the Unity Party did today, trying to change the CDC, trying to pull out crowd that equal to the CDC, shows that the Unity Party is on a serious trouble. They should control Monserrato. They should control Monserrato because Monserrato always.
The Unity Party pull up their crowd, or did their crowd come out by itself? For Unity Party, did the crowd come out by themselves to the Unity Party's event, or did the Unity Party make effort to bring them out? What do you think?
They mobilized. They call the people to come out. They went from place to place. You saw a lot of trucks bringing people in. You saw it. Unless you people want to be blind.
No, I saw pictures of trucks. I saw people in trucks.
Yeah, but this truck.
I saw one of the longest truck ever. I saw that. So go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. So
I think Aliu likes that truck. It was very long.
But let me say this to you. Listen to Belong Yumli. Matter of fact, they call out their supporters. Belong were coming from a different end. Yumli were coming from Nigeria house, different area. So they mobilized the people. They went out. They brought it.
So are you giving them credit here? Are you giving them credit?
I was the Unity Party. If I was a member of the Unity Party, if I'm going to chase the ruling party in Monserrato, I'll be really afraid.
Thank you.
I'll be afraid.
Thank you. Let's do justice to the time. Let's bring other callers in. Kev Hassan there from the CDC. Brother, thank you for calling in. All right. Let's go to the phone line again and bring in the man, Anthony Gay. Mr. Gay, quickly, let me manage the time better here. You have a minute. What do you think of the crowd? Does the crowd suggest that the people are resolved to vote Bwaka, or what do you make of it?
So, Mr. Phillips, yeah, much I admire your monetization as you monitor the show every time. Look, I gave it to Unity Party, they organized the team, but here's the thing. Many of these people that were in that crowd today were not motivated because Mr. Yuma Bwaka is offering something spectacular to Liberia. right? This is the same group that rejected the Unity Party in 2017. So the Unity Party now automatically have become the alternative of Liberia? Absolutely not. Second thing, the Unity Party is bringing PYJ to the politicians have done in Liberia in recent times. PYJ have been far away from the presidency. If vote for President Mabaka,
he was not close to the presidency when he supported Ellen and we are.
Absolutely not. We were far away from it. The records are there. Right now, PYJ is cutting the shot. PYJ was the one that announced Jeremiah Cole as a VP running this first before it was announced by JMP. PYJ went off and verified and insulted Senator Yonti Kanga Lawrence, and not a single statement was made by Unity Party. PYJ is on a record saying derogatory things, and they will not say anything because they want to win. Is that the reward to the Liberian people? For PYJ to cut the shot, PYJ ranked first as a presidential candidate, and now win more than one contest.
Don't you think there might be a strategy by the Unity Party and Mbwaka? Well, let's play it low, let's get this thing, and then we can hand up Prince Johnson at the end of the day. Don't you think it's smart politics, unfortunately?
Great follow-up question, but let me answer that question. Let's look at PYJ. Who is this man? The man outsmarted, great people. Outsmarted Taylor, outsmarted Doe, killed Article Thomas Sangara in Burkina Faso out of his own testimony on YouTube. Is there what they said that? You think this man will be outsmarted by the Unity Party folks? That is the question you need to be asking yourself.
Maybe they are using him to outsmart everybody else so they can win this thing and do what they want to do. Don't you think so?
That's true. They win, but will they outsmart and send this man away? This man has a strong history because he is mature.
Mbwaka now.
He killed Thomas Sakara, killed Doe, and outsmarted Taylor. He said, listen, he said wrong. This man said he will bring 500 men to protect him as his friend. Nobody did anything to him.
Mr. Gay,
Mr. Gay, the only people that man is afraid of is the United States government.
Mr. Gay,
made article chairman of the committee on the armed forces of Liberia. Guess what? When America spoke,
Mr. Gay, your meeting is over. But let me give you this. Can Mbwaka be given credit now? Costa got so close to him. He was influential. He was influential in Mbwaka's circle. At time Kim Mbwaka made a decision not to choose him. Costa is nobody today, politically speaking. I can say that without any hesitation. Don't you think Mbwaka can do similar thing to Prince Johnson after winning this and say, "Look, Prince, you better play low here before I snatch you with war crime court," and he will be. Don't you think so?
Well, let's look at the optics and look at the perspective right now. PYJ is a seasoned politician, 18 years of 12 as a senator. Point number one. Point number two. PYJ has been the kingmaker when it comes to the presidential election. He did it for Ellen, he did it for Wea. The young man called that does not have that record. So I mean, we compare apple and oranges here. They are all fruit, but they are very unique in that category.
All right, Mr. Gay, thank you. Let me go to my phone line here. I have a lot of callers. Let me see. This name is Livingstone Flomo, phone number ending in 8737. It's your time to speak. What do you make of the Unity Party's launch? If you look at Accra, is Mbwaka on his way? Let's hear from you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very, very, I mean, the crowd was organic. Very, very, I think Joseph Mbwaka is the next president of Liberia. From the crowd that came out today, in the history I know, I have never seen a crowd like that. Under the rain, especially like black people when it comes to rain, we don't like rain. We don't like to go under rain. But people under the rain, like if you watch the rally, like the crowd, they were not even able to. All the crowd was not able to go into ATS. Now Jim Barney from Maryland County crowd was not able to come in, and the other crowd from the second were not able to come in. So the crowd was so much that people were not able to enter into the ATS.
And so don't you think this crowd was induced with T-shirts and some petty cash, behind the curtains that we did not see?
No, I challenge anyone who have a video out there to show that they were paying money with T-shirts. The teacher was getting free.
How do you compare that with the CDC launch, my friend?
Over the CDC paid people. I mean, there's evidence there was video out there. People were sharing cash to people. That means the people they get a free T-shirt. People, people are paying to the rider. Even the motorbike rider had a protest because they paid their head the money and they didn't pay the guys their gas money. They have protests. They have to the guys to run to the police headquarters. There's a video up there to prove that. But there's no video to show where look, the ANC people, I just want to see what they process in the drug policy. The ANC people calling Captain Doctor a murderer today. Yeah, political leaders getting there 50,000 for the university. When you get government public school, need renovation and stuff. Why Mr. Comey did not get that 50,000 to help government schools and universities? When you get 50K to Prince Johnson, who they call him murderer today?
I pressed them on that. They said it's actually 25,000, so I will quote them on that. They said 25,000 was given to.
Maybe Prince Johnson lied them because they had to, because Prince Johnson said it 50,000. It was 2 installments, 25.
So Livingstone, finally, before I go to the phone line again, finally, what do you think motivated these people in this faction? Was it anything that the Unity Party has done? Let me end my question, my friend. Was it anything that the Unity Party has done? Is it because of their anger against the CDC? Or was it because that they are tired of their poor condition and they wanted to make a statement? What you think was the driving force to this thing? You think they came to the Unity Party's event because they love the Unity Party, or because they just tired with what they have today as government?
So many things. I would say all what you just said. But one of the main reasons they're coming back to the Unity Party because the experience during the Unity Party regime, how things was better than today. The reason they're coming back to the Unity Party, they put on drugs today. The Civil 7 paid at their cost. The Unity Party side, Civil 7 was getting paid $150 but on the CDC, the quality getting $50. So that's all that reason that will make them to come back to the Unity Party, because during the Unity Party, they were getting paid on time every month. $150, they were getting paid on time. And this YFP, they started doing CDC time, started doing Unity Party time. So all that, with all this, that's why they will go for Children Human Worker, because they know Unity Party state of that 12 years.
Thank you. Well, let's go back to the phone line. We have the man, Sarah Slan. Slan, you have a minute. Let us hear from you. You saw the crowd, the Unity Party's crowd during its launch. What's your reading?
I want to give credit to the CDC, and reason being that the importation of drugs, downsizing people's salary, the high unemployment rate, state-sponsored killing. These are all doing of the CDC.
Are you not holding them responsible? Are you giving them credit? That's a different though, my friend.
Or
are you trying to be philosophical? Or are you trying to be a figurative, something like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm speaking to the relatively.
Okay.
I'm giving them the credit because have they improved civil servant salary? If those people, auditors that were killed, were alive,
right,
and all of the things are currently happening, even up to the time we are having campaign
right,
for elections, they are still drinking drugs in the country, and keep in mind that the drug the moringa again started to coach. So all of those factors, if you add it up, those are what motivated the ordinary people that they told the printing press. Printing, so the party, the Taylor party, district headquarters, to print their own t-shirts, to jump on the ring, to walk almost in the river while coming home. So those are the factors that are responsible.
And are you also saying that it's not anything Unity Party has done to earn the people's trust? It's just because of what they are tired with has been done by this government? That is the reason?
So I think judging from what Unity Party did for the past 12 years, the level of poverty was reducing. People's lives were improving. Civil service salary was being increased, more or less annually to some extent. And things was like, things have gradually improved.
Okay.
Now, he has spent in the last 12 years, I mean, the second term of the Unity Party, there were other issues that went on, for which they, looked at that Waka was part of the same Unity Party, and so they wanted change. And that is why they remain, remorseful and started telling Joseph Waka, "We are sorry."
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. And quickly.
Please.
So, there is a hypocrisy in our body politics. The ANC and CPP guys were the very people who went to Prince Johnson to ask Jeremiah King to go as VP to come in.
Yep, that is true. In their own words, they were vetting him, and the vetting is different from trying to get the man. You don't vet anybody you don't want to hire. You don't vet that person. You don't even interview that person. You don't even shortlist that person that you don't want. So that I agree with that hypocrisy, and I myself too, I can't swallow it. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, but besides that, Prince Johnson went on Sport TV. That LS coming went to him and asked him, and he said no.
Thank you.
Since Prince Johnson made that statement, they have never come out to repeat that statement.
And they can't do it because that's the very truth. Thank you, my friend. Let's take another caller here. Yeah. Michael Palmo. Michael Palmo is a member here of this network focused on Liberia. He's a panelist of our program on Point. Full disclosure there. Michael, let us hear you, my friend, my Minnesota brother. How you doing? Mr. Palmo, are you there? Mr. Palmo seems not to be really. Let's get to the man, Evis Morris. Evis, why are you not the first this time? You're always the first caller here.
Yeah, I was eating when it was time to call, so I didn't want to miss my sweet cassavali to call right away. But next time we first.
GMB sent you to go eat cassavali? That was a joke. Go ahead, my friend.
Yes, thank you. Look, our country is polarized, very, very polarized right now. We have two extremes, the PDCN and the United Party. We have die-hard supporters who are willing to show their force and their support, their unwavering support for both Joseph Boyka and President Leah. Look, Mr. Fear, we spoke you on this platform, but I think we who are listening, we can tell where you're leaning. I mean, you're being too kind and too generous.
Oh, my people, when somebody's saying the truth, you're saying leaning. Do you not know of the rain? How Liberians are afraid of rain, how we run from rain. For me to have seen that and to say this was something different, does that make me to be leaning? I am not supporting any political party, my friend. When I tell you this, you should believe me, man. You start accusing people of leaning. Where am I leaning? I'm just telling the truth as I always done, my friend. Go ahead.
Look, you've seen the crowds in the 2017 election. There's about a massive crowd. You've seen,
but was not under the heavy rainfall, though. Was not under the heavy rainfall, though, my friend.
I mean, I think you have to put into context the fact that these people were really making this a marquee, a rally after the TDC showed their force.
Right.
The Unity Party people were coming up to say that they would do everything to counter that. So they put all of the resources and they mobilize and they strategize to make sure that enough people show up to give them the optics that they wanted. And they succeeded at that. But I'm trying to draw your attention back to other times where we have massive crowds in 2005 for president. We have didn't win the election. Massive crowds in 2017 for Boyka, didn't win the election. Most rather will be close. I think as we can see from these crowds, they're quite close in terms of outcomes and outputs. But the reality is it's going to be won in the smaller tranches. The margin of error is going to be very small. So Monserrato is a battleground. It's going to be very tightly fought between these two groups. So let us not try to sway the public view by saying that this is a resounding, overwhelming support of the entire country for Joseph Boyka that he's on his way to the presidency. I think not. He's done even better in 2017, if you ask me, in terms of polling crowds. And he didn't win that election. So I'm not going to downplay as a CDC sympathizer, but at the same time, it's not the end. And there's still a long way to go. And I think CDC can still pull this out if they continue to mobilize and strategize in those smaller counties that will give them the 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 here that will ultimately be the deciding factors in this election. I'll leave it there. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Let's get back to Michael Palmer again. Mr. Palmer, are you there now?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right. Go ahead, my friend. You have a minute.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really want to put out there that the massive crowd you saw today, because it was a massive crowd, majority of those people did not come up because they lost the supporter. They came up because they are rejecting the current regime. And that's what it is. And people need to see it for that. That's what it is. And most of those people, minds can still be changed. The only thing you cannot convince them on right now is to vote for the CDC. That's the only thing you can convince them on. But who to vote for other than the CDC? Many of these people out there that came out, to show that, almost like a rejection rally. That's what that was. And that's what that is. I hear people talking about, well, it rained. And the people are angry. They're angry with the first with the present regime. And it's the anger that made them walk in the water. It's the anger that made them walk in the rain. It's not love for Joseph Boyka. I continue to, how many people you can ask and they can tell you?
And can that anger that made them to walk in the rain at a Unity Party's event eventually made them to vote for the Unity Party at the end of the day? Even if they're not doing it because of Unity Party, but they are doing it at a Unity Party's event, can they do it at the ballot and in Unity Party's favor too?
They could if the other parties, if the CPP does not do its homework and convince those people, they could. Let me give you an example.
And what homework does the CPP needs to do now, Mr. Palmer? I give credit to the CPP, its political leader, for doing some work. And I visited more counties compared to other political leaders. Besides Tiawan Gongolo, I believe I visited more counties and towns than Cummings, but he has done sufficiently well with that. So you've done some work. And I'm not sure Walker has done much to have enjoyed this kind of political blessing from the crowd today.
No, he has not. And that's what makes it so vulnerable. That's what makes it vulnerable. Because the people, you see, first they become angry, right?
Yeah, maybe like they say, the people are resolved now in his favor.
No, that is not true. That is a false statement.
Okay.
And that is only something that is being pushed by the United Party. The only thing that people are resolved with right now is that they do not want CDC to continue. That is the only resolution that they have right now. Okay? They are not resolved that they want United Party. And I'm going to give an example. For example, Yeke Koluba. Yeke Koluba and his supporters attend all those rallies. They attend United Party rallies. They attend CPP rallies. Okay? And I believe a lot of people that were in that crowd today, if CPP was to launch in Monrovia, you might see those very same people get in a CPP t-shirt. The only t-shirt they are not willing to wear right now is a CPP t-shirt. Now,
well, even though some of them wore the t-shirt and they told us they have Waka's picture in their hands that we wore the CDC t-shirt, but we're not actually with them. It's because of the money. And you are saying that the only t-shirt they're not able to wear, they wore it, my friend.
No, when I mean they're not, but you understand what I'm trying to say. When I mean when it comes to the conviction, when it comes to the conviction of who where they might be voting and where they will not be voting, those are two very clear things.
Okay.
Those people will not be voting for CDC.
All right.
you know, but to say that they are all in for the Unity Party, that is a false narrative.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Michael Palmer there. Let's go back to the phone line again. This time we are breaking in phone number ending in 7966. Your name and where you're joining us from, please. Sonda Florence is the name that appears here at my end.
7966. Oh, sorry. This is Samuel Sonda. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Sonda, let us hear you.
I'm calling from California.
Thank you. You have a minute. Let's hear you. You might have watched the Unity Party's launch today. What do you read into all that? Is that enough to put Bwaka at the executive mansion? Or this is just the crowd trying to express anger against WIA and not in favor of Unity Party? Let me hear you, my friend.
Thank you. This is what I have to say. Liberian people are resolved to dispense of themselves of George Weah. Liberian people are resolved to make Bwaka the next president of Liberia.
Okay.
George Weah has not demonstrated the professional expertise and the gravitas a president should have to run a country. In the last 5 years, going to 6 years, there has been demonstration of ineptitude and led some of us to even question why we voted this person.
Okay.
But this was the cloud and the rain that was gathering over Liberia, and Liberians were anxious to get him to the leadership, expecting that something would happen, and we allowed this rain to fall, and behold, it was nothing but what the senior Liberian palace blah. The whole leadership of CDC under George Weah is nothing but blah. It came.
What is VLA, my friend? What is VLA? Let me ask you, what is VLA?
VLA is nothing. It's zero.
Is that what kind of language is that? Is that Pele?
I wish I knew. It sounds like Bata to me, but it's a Liberian. We're using the Liberian circle, and I know Liberian.
Let me ask my good friend Aliu. Yeah, he's good with our language. Aliu, VLA, is that VA?
No.
I know him. Okay. So
it's just a slang meaning nothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
I think it's Liu says it's just a slang meaning nothing, emptiness. You know. Go ahead.
Yes, it's empty. It's empty.
All right.
Jerry, what was demonstrated today is Liberians crying for the soul of their country. Liberians want a restoration of their image. So when they get out there, I went to school in Ghana. I spent about 10 years in Ghana. And my Ghanaian friends would question me, oh, why you people got that guy as president?
Thank you.
If Joe Bwaka becomes president, I get to redeem myself.
Thank you.
You understand that?
Thank you. Were you one of those who gave us George Weah, for who you're talking about redemption now?
No, I was never a George Weah follower because
but you convinced people to vote for him, isn't it? Did you convince people to vote for him?
No, I did not. Because let me tell you why. I will tell you this if you give me the time.
No, I don't have that time. Just tell me. Did you convince anybody to vote for him, and did anybody vote for him?
I did not convince anybody. I did not encourage anybody.
All right.
Because I knew that I was way educated for somebody like that to be my president.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, let me bring in the man, Darlene Warwood. Darlene, it's your turn. You have a minute. Darlene, are you there?
Yeah, what I was saying.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yeah, here's what I was saying about the crowd today. The crowd there shows a complete repudiation and rejection of George Weah. The Liberian people are saying George Weah was better Weah in attitude, your incompetence, and your insensitivity. And you have made Liberia have become a drug infested state. Liberia have become a Colombia of Africa. But here's what I would say. Liberia need to be mindful because it is the very anger that they demonstrated today against George Weah that is the very anger that brought George Weah to power in 2017. They were angry with the massive corruption that took place in the early administration and the nepotism and all of that. They were so angry with that situation. And in their anger, they didn't manage their anger to ask themselves, okay, this time around, who do we pick? Who do we choose to lead our country?
to lead us out of this our despair. But in their anger, they got Georgia. And again, they are using the very anger to remove Georgia and not question and not take the time to ask themselves, who do we bring to lead this nation out of despair? And they are out of anger, running behind Joe Walker.
All right. Thank you.
Their desperation to get somebody to release them of their property is taking it into a deeper problem. But here is one of the things of Mr. Weir. Mr. Weir lost control of the agenda in the moment they don't want 2 elections in the country, 2019 and 2020. And I thought Mr. Weir and CDC government would have regained control of the agenda when the CCP is disintegrated in a very massive report. But Mr. Weir didn't take advantage of that opportunity because he cared less, because he's not qualified.
Thank you, my friend.
Very incompetent.
Thank you. Your 1 minute.
So Nigeria have to be careful right now with their anger again, because their anger is going to lead them into another trouble for another state.
And let me allow you to learn with this. Why are you fearing?
Yeah.
Because you are saying that anger led them to voting Josh Weir, and you are suggesting here that anger is leading them to Joe Walker. So we might have the same leadership nightmare that we are having with Weir now. Is that what you say? Are you saying that Walker is not the best choice for Liberia? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Walker is far from being the best choice.
All right.
If Walker is the best that Liberia has to offer right now, then they rather keep George Weir. Because Walker is determined to better all the Senate for 12 years and try to move up the concession agreement into law.
All right.
And Walker and electing the power, senators and representatives are making 2005.
Thank you.
Who elected in 2017, senators and representatives are making $15,000 under the watch of the watch of the human body.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank
you.
They're going to be angry again. They're going to be demonstrating and protesting again 10 years down the line.
Thank you, darling.
They better be careful.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's bring in my last caller here. Freeman, phone number ending in 5615. 5615. Freeman, you have a minute, please. Go ahead, Freeman.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. I'm sorry for the quality of my voice. I'm down the weather, but I'm under the weather, please. But with regards to the Unity Party's launch today, I have not seen the videos yet to compare crowds.
Okay.
But I do think that if we understood that in Liberia currently you have political parties, the CDC and the Unity Party. Each of these parties do have what we call the baseline supporters. There is no way that Unity Party will come out and there will not be a baseline supporter. Even if you didn't have white guy in the picture, there will still be baseline supporter for Unity Party, regardless who the lead candidate is at the time. Please to speak of white guy, who is much more familiar to the people. And on the other side of things, you have George Weir and the CDC. George Weir has his own iconic name and support. In addition with the CDC baseline, which we call the grassroots. So when you kind of differentiate these two, you come to realize that both sides will have some sort of weight when it comes to galvanizing people and galvanizing support. But it depends on who do we get to elect at the end of the day. And in my opinion, I would think that CDC has a better opportunity because they have served. Before when they are not served, they had a lot of support, and that support came along with the grassroots and that of George Weir and his iconic name. Now that they have served, they may have not done it 100%, but they do have some coins in the box.
Thank you.
And I think the coins they put in the box may speak for them to some extent. The Unity Party can make the gains, but it may still be challenged because PDC being a sitting party, they should have this that I think they can run on.
Thank you so much. All right. that will do it for our callers. At this time, we will bring in our two panelists here for their closing. And gentlemen, you have a minute to close, each of you. Mr. Ja Lamo, your closing, please.
Yeah, my fellow Liberians, I believe that we should not be carried away by crowd politics and our allegiance to the crowd in Montserrat County is fake. It's a fantasy. It's not an indication that Joe Barker wins the election. Elections are about the highest votes acquired from the electorate. As the election draws near, political atmosphere will remain tense. Every party will promise that they are the solution. The opposition forces will say George Weah cannot win election. However, any party can win this election. And the essence of democracy is that people will vote. And it's all about voting. The upcoming election is undoubtedly a crucial moment for the future direction of our country. My prayers is that regardless of our tribe, our party affiliation, our social economic status, we put Liberia first. There is no such thing as a messiah that will come and save the country. The people must be the change that they seek. The people must be determinant of their own fate. We have to make people participants in the actual task of nation building. We have to empower the people. We have to allow people to elect their local leaders. There may be a leadership deficit, but that deficit exists in every community, in every county. We need a lot of leaders. So the notion that one man will save this country is a fantasy. One man rule only exists in China, in Russia, and in the Korean Peninsula. We must be able to rely on the people. Democracy is an act of faith. If you can't put in the work, if you don't believe, if you don't work for it, you will not get it. Nobody will deliver it for you. God bless Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Jay Blamo there with his closing. Mr. Aliu Kamara.
I see, so scared. Seriously scared. Listen to Blamo, I know seriously worried. But, you know, imagine, when was the last time you saw Kev Hassan call this show? You can tell how worried CDC is. As for the ANC people, you know, we just let them talk. If you feel that the crowd over there was this and that crowd, you know, the party opened their campaign on Broad Street. We saw the crowd. And when you open your own campaign, we saw your own crowd. We saw your thing you did to, how you call it, place, SKD Sport Complex. You say, how you call it, Retire? So we saw your, I don't know why all of the frustrated people can come to your side. But listen, I want to take this time to say thank you, a special thank you to Senator Abraham Darius DeLon for a job well done in the Montserrat County area. It is clear that he has grip on his constituent, which is Montserrat County. I want to say thank you to James Barney for his effortless work. We want to also say thank you to the rescue mother, Mrs. Yombly Kanga Lawrence, for a job well done, a job only in the interest of the Liberian people, a selfless job. A job well done, the mobilization was on course, but more importantly, the people were willing. They were willing, they swam in rivers, they crossed creeks, they jumped in the water with their new shoes, with their old shoes, whatever they had, they fed themselves, they bought their own water, you know, and everything, making sacrifice for this country, all for the Unity Party. We say bravo, we know distractors will talk, but we're not worried. This election, we have it. The Unity Party, through Honorable Joseph Yuma Parker, will win this election, and we are hoping on the very first ballot. Thank you for having me, Mr. C.
Thank you, Mr. Aliu Kamara, for your participation today. Mr. Mame, you're closing. You have a minute. Unmute yourself, please.
Sorry for being off and on, but it was good to be on the show intermittently. We respect the other panelists' view on issues. we conclude that the rally today sent a very strong message that there are two groups of people. One are people who disappointed and just want to retaliate, want to pay back and punish George Weah for his silence over the years on and that have led to drugs taking over the country. The fact that he built more houses for himself than he built schools for the entire country. They want to retaliate. Young people who thought that he would be president and transform football, create an opportunity for them to play in Europe. Nothing has happened. They want to retaliate. There are other people who, yes, they know they want to retaliate, but they're also looking for genuine solutions. We believe that they have not found that solution, and we'll use this opportunity for the last remaining hours in the campaign to talk to them. Lastly, and most importantly, we are very optimistic that the votes will be protected. Thank God our voting process is manual. We are hearing people talking about CDC wants to cheat. We don't want to beat that drum. We know they have intention, but those intentions cannot be actualized. The sophistication in the opposition, the experience we have had after conducting elections in 2005, we have sufficient deterrence mechanism to prevent anybody who wants to cheat. The only thing you can do is you can cheat, but probably when the result comes and you lose, you announce yourself winner. And that will be a reckless action people will revolt against.
Thank you. On that note, folks in cyberspace, this is how we'll come to this evening edition of the Hour of Politics with me, your host, Anthony C.A. We brought you analysis of the Unity Party's 2023 campaign launch, and this is how I close the broadcast. We've seen crowd gathering at political event, especially political rally and political launches in Monrovia. Yes, we've seen them. Those crowds, in some instances, have indicated that somebody will win and that person will go to win. We saw Chad Taylor's crowd, 1997. It was a mammoth crowd. In Aliu's words, others said it like dead bodies were coming out of the grave and they assembled. Chad Taylor, the most popular man, for whom the people have gathered wherever they were, will go to win the election. George Manuel Weah came to mind, an iconic figure, a great son of the land who stepped his foot in politics. He will be loved, and that love translated into a crowd that gathered every time the CDC made that pledge or that call to say, hey, we want 1 million person to march. They will descend on Monrovia. It will translate into the political victory in 2017. Darius Dillon comes to mind. Even though he has a lying tongue with the CPP, he pulled on a crowd that was different from the CDC crowd with Thomas Fowler that was induced. His crowd was not induced. The crowd gave money. They collected money for him. He will go to snatch that election from the CDC in a Maserati that has been their stronghold. I'm giving you history of crowd politics. It works. It has worked in many instances where it worked for Joseph Boakai this time. I don't know. But the crowd we saw today, I will be the first to tell you, was something different that I've never seen before. On a heavy downpour of rain, Liberians from all walks of life, young, old, the rain could not stop them. For hours they were in the rain. They walked, they marched, they chanted slogan. They were angry. They were angry against President George Weah. And so they gathered. Maybe not because for the love of the Unity Party, but they wanted to make a statement to their president. That statement they made today, they can make that statement on election day. Whether it will be for Joseph Boakai is what I cannot tell you. But there are reasons to believe if they can do it today, they might do it on election day. I'm not saying Boakai is going to win. I'm just telling you what the reality is with this particular launch that we saw today. So we wait and see. Time is the name. Time will tell. My name is Anthony C.A. and this was another analytical edition of the Hour of Politics. Until I catch you again when I do, remember my name, Munancie Blossier, and Focus on Liberia will always be your best network. We educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia, we will always say. That is why Aliu Kamara likes to be here. Mame also likes to be here. We see you when we see you again. The song says we are all Liberians. That song takes us home right now. And bye-bye, my people. We will talk to you soon. Bye, folks.
We all Liberians.